Hello, welcome to the Bumbling blog. Today we're using the most sketchy setup we've had so far, and I am changing this bookshelf that I've made, this floating bookshelf, and we're going to fix it because I don't know if you can tell on the camera, but it's not very straight, and we have a lot more hardbacks than we ever thought we did. Originally these 3 rows were trade paperback, pulp size. Can't remember what the size is, but they are about 2 inches-ish shorter than a hardback, so we can't really put any books on there. We also can't put paperbacks on there because they're not the same size as paperbacks. So I'm doing a fancy DIY transition. If I can get the... Whoa! I'll send a picture. I'll put a picture up here of what the setup looks like and how sketchy it is. Alright, so we're going to turn this to this. Yes, the astute of you may be able to tell it's the lighting's different because it's now 4 AM on the night of the Friday, which is going to Saturday. Today this video is going to be uploaded. So yeah, it's overall it's a late one. This video it took a lot longer than I thought it would to get it all down, get it all up, fill in the holes, plan it all. But what you're seeing right now in front of you is a time lapse of me stripping all the shelves, and you can see that we really didn't have enough trade size paperbacks to fit on the shelves to make it not worthwhile. You can see that in my Genius Past show on shelf, I have hidden one of the screws because there's 3 on each of the brackets, so that made my life a bit harder. So just carry on stripping the shelves and then get the screwdriver and take them out at a weird, really jammy angle, trying to jam the screwdriver around, which wasn't the easiest angle. But once I got the first row, the second row is nice and easy. I got the vacuum to just help clean it up when I was taking all the screws out. This is what it looks like with all the holes. You can see on some of them I kind of misaligned it. I tried to fix a lot of the lining up, but you can see it looks quite empty. And there's a lot of holes that I should have covered up a lot more last time. Basically what we're doing is we are getting the old shelves down, reattaching new shelves, and then using the old shelves wood to line up as the same size for the hardbacks, because they're already painted. It just saves a task, it saves a lot of extra work. So yeah, I had to measure up, find in between the measurement, and draw a line across the wall, because it's my wall, it's our wall, it's going to get covered up by a bookshelf, so it doesn't matter if there's a pencil line. It's not like anyone's going to see it recently in the future. And trying to get the level of the line was quite awkward because the level wasn't quite straight enough, but I decided to do the whole line, do the whole of it by itself. And here you can see me lining up showing you how I lined up the bracket, and to make sure I offset it ever so slightly, and I make sure that the bottom hole on every single one was the bit that had the bit that sat on the line. So ideally that meant that they'd all sit nice and perfectly all together, but you know, things happen. Millimeters off in manufacturing cause errors, which is a shame. But as you can see here, I'm trying to get the bracket itself to be level, and I'm going to draw in the three holes and mark them black so I can know what to drill out. As you can see, I've expertly blocked the camera with my hand because I'm right-handed, and obviously I put the camera down on the left side, which wasn't the smartest thing to do, really. And you see I've got another time-lapse of me doing it all. I think overall it took about 2 or 3 hours to get it all off and pull out the plugs. I'm sorting out, marking off the drill bit with the length of the screw. So I have quite long screws because I have to go through the bracket and then into the back of the plug. I don't want them to risk falling out. So just marking it off with a bit of masking tape to make sure I don't drill too deep into the brick, because in England we'll have lovely brick walls. This is a 1930s house, so it's very, very brick-like. Quite a pain. There's me putting all the wall plugs in to make sure that the screws don't fall out once they're tied in. This is the fun bit. Now that I've cleaned up all the holes, the old holes, just setting my drill to be on drilling mode, and just gonna drill it in the hole. Get the bracket, try and line up, starting off with the center bracket, so I can sort of get the twist right on it. Yeah, this was having done this several times before. Looking at the bookshelf right now, I would definitely say it's much easier to start off with the center, and if you don't screw it all the way in like I did. I think I left it a little bit out when I was screwing it in. Yeah, just leave it a little bit loose so you can have a little bit of wiggle, and then do the top and the bottom. Just drill it in slowly, as you can see, nice and slowly. But again, I'm expertly blocking the light. Yeah, just make sure it's in, give it a little bit of a wiggle. Yeah, I've cut back to me do it on the time lapse, filling in all the old holes with some polyfiller. Polyfiller, and screwing all the brackets on. This wasn't the main wasn't the main task to screw all the brackets on. Mostly to get it off and drill the holes, because I didn't want to go too late into the night doing this. But as you can see here, and then putting the shelves on, it's clearly daytime because we ran over too late, and I have to do it in the morning, which wasn't too bad, because it meant I had nice rest before getting it to this point. But yeah, me and Alyce run mostly Alyce run the Bumbling blog, the Bumbling blogger YouTube. She does a lot of reviews on the Bumbling blogger, and she also has good reads on Twitter. You should definitely follow her. Here's me screwing in the first bracket into the shelf. I have to do it slowly so it gets too misaligned. Here's the actual first one that really counts. It's the first one that you can see. See, I'm applying pressure. The screws, I've used the 16mm, I think. Very small screws, very short. Yeah, just trying to get it in. Get this one in as well. It's quite fiddly because the drill just fits in the gap. And I think later on, when I'm getting some of the boards, the wooden boards further down, I had a bit of a struggle getting it in. I don't know if you can see it in the time lapse. You can see why I just moved all the shelves out of the way of the children. And Sophia trying her best to help Daddy out with the DIY. And this is my first DIY making video. I'm going to do a part 2, which will be the finishing off the wall. Probably a part 3 when we finally actually are able to move the sofa out and go all the way down to the floor. Because we are gonna have a 11 shelf of books. And here's all the books that we took off and all the books I had to put on. It's quite a not insignificant amount of books. Yeah, we don't know how many books we have. At some point we will be doing a owned physical TBR / bookshelf tour of something in some description. It's 9.25. You can see at the back that there's some hardbacks from the fancy Owl Crate and Loot Crate and Illuma Crate boxes, which is the main reason why we had to readjust the shelves. It's because we just had too many nice fancy books we really want to show off. We're not really that interested in showing off the pulp ones because they're a bit boring, a bit old, a bit grungy because a lot of them are second hand and they're all have the stained edges on the pages. I think we're in the home stretch of us organising the bookshelves. So originally, I was just going to organise the bookshelves, and then Alyce came along. It's like, hey, let's just organise it by alphabet. And I'm like, okay, sure. So I'm running around trying to get all the books, and you can see here, two of us. Alyce is organising the slightly shorter hardbacks onto their own shelf, alphabetised by the author's second name, which now, looking at it, looks really, really great. But at the time, I didn't understand why we were doing this. I was just getting a bit frustrated at how much extra time this is adding to us all. Well, as you can see, we don't have much time left on the video. You can see it didn't actually take too long in the end, and it really did make a huge difference, because you can see where they are. If you're trying to find a book, you can work it out quite quickly. And you go, yeah, and here we go back to the time lapse with us organising it, and you can see we are also organising the full size hardbacks into alphabetized. But this is where we kind of went really wrong. We had to keep shuffling them along because we'd miss one or two books by authors because they were just in the wrong place. Yeah, and now we're just trying to shuffle them all along. See the baby's again helping us out. It's the Ezra wrapped up in his blanket, trying to keep him warm when he doesn't want to wear clothes. And Sophia's trying to help by pulling off all the books on the lower shelves. So you can see these shelves, they've been up for over a year. This same style of fixing, and they do survive baby use, so they might not be the best shelves. The main thing we wanted with these shelves was we didn't want to have any brackets to knock to get in the way of other books in case we didn't realise and crumpled up the pages. I had to swap to the onboard microphone on the camera, but I have a hairbrush to mimic the microphone to keep me hopefully talking loud enough that it'll be picked up. The video is doing its first process, so then I can do the commentary over it, so it's going to be even later time I go to bed today. As you can see, all the books. At some point we decided to organise them by alphabetise them, but on the top shelf we have our shorter hardbacks. We have our 2 rows of regular hardbacks. Obviously all the as many of the paperbacks that we could fit on are on the shelves. And I still have the over here part 2 coming out possibly next week or the week after, where I will fix up those shelves, drill the rest of it. So yeah, we'll have a whole, what's that, 4, 8, 12, 14 foot and several inches bookcase, depending on obviously vary it and the brickwork on that side, but yeah. I hope you enjoyed this video. Remember to like, comment and share. So comment how terribly I've done this bookcase. It's held up for over a year as it is. It works. I've even had like the children go on it and yeah, shake it and everything. It's fine. It's just like it's just resting weight, obviously, on the sheer point of the screw, so it's pretty good. It's pretty good at lasting a long time. To hit the subscribe button down below and ring the bell icon. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Sean Can't Read. Follow Alyce at Everything Alyce. Go check the blog out, the Bumbling blogger, because I'll probably have a write up of how I did it and stuff, and how much it costs at some point when I work it all out, because it took several times. It is an MDF shelf, mostly because I think it was on sale when I went to check it out in the shop, so it's MDF, and I wouldn't recommend doing that in the future. Definitely recommend getting some sort of real plywood or some sort of other real wood. But yeah, we'll see you later. Bye.